The winter sun was setting, painting the sky in soft shades of gold and pink. Daniel McCarthy's breath puffed into the air as he walked briskly down the familiar street toward home. His nurse's badge still hung from his neck, swinging slightly with every step. That day at the hospital had been long but rewarding, and then came the news he'd been hoping for. After years of back-breaking night shifts, extra hours, and missed family dinners, Daniel had been promoted to head nurse. It meant a better salary, fewer late nights, and more time with his wife Emma and their 8-year-old son Noah. In his hand he carried a small paper bag from their favorite bakery, fresh pastries still warm from the oven. He imagined Emma's delighted smile when he told her the news. He pictured Noah's excitement, the way his son would wrap his small arms around him in a tight hug. The thought made Daniel's steps lighter. He was so lost in his daydream that it took him a moment to notice something unusual ahead. His front door was open, just an inch, maybe 2, but enough for the cold wind to slip inside. His smile faltered. Emma never left the door open. She was careful about things like that. Daniel stepped onto the porch, his shoes crunching against the thin layer of frost. "Emma, Noah," he called softly, pushing the door open with his shoulder. The living room looked perfectly normal at first glance. The couch cushions were neatly arranged, the TV was off, and the lamp in the corner glowed warmly. But on the hardwood floor near the coffee table, a mug lay shattered, its jagged pieces scattered like tiny shards of ice. A faint unease began to replace his earlier joy. "Hello?" His voice was louder this time, but still there was no answer. He set the bakery bag on the table and moved toward the hallway. The air inside felt heavier somehow, the kind of stillness that makes you instinctively hold your breath. He checked Noah's bedroom empty. The bed was neatly made. The bathroom door was wide open, the light off. Then from the kitchen, he heard a faint noise, not words, not footsteps, more like muffled sobbing. Daniel's heartbeat quickened as he stepped into the kitchen. The light above the stove was on, casting soft yellow circles across the countertops. The back door stood wide open, and a gust of icy air swept inside, chilling his skin. Beyond the door, in the dimming light of the backyard, he saw them. Emma was kneeling on the cold ground, her coat thrown over the small, trembling shoulders of a boy Daniel had never seen before. She held him close, rubbing his arms to warm him. Noah stood nearby, clutching his mother's arm, his eyes wide and wet with tears. Daniel rushed outside. What happened? Emma looked up, her breath visible in the cold air. "He was running barefoot in the street," she said quickly, her voice shaking. "He looked so scared. I couldn't just leave him out there. I brought him inside, but when I tried to give him water, he panicked and ran toward the yard. I followed him." Daniel crouched down, his eyes falling on the boy. He looked about 6 or 7, dressed in a thin, dirty t-shirt and pajama pants. His cheeks were red from the cold, and his lips trembled as he tried to speak. Where are your parents?" Daniel asked gently. The boy's voice was barely a whisper. I don't know." Inside, the warmth of the kitchen wrapped around them. Emma guided the boy to a chair while Daniel shut the back door and locked it. The boy sat stiffly, glancing at the door as though afraid someone might burst in at any moment. Noah slid a bowl of soup toward him, his own small hands trembling. "It's hot," he said softly, "but it's good." The boy hesitated, then began to eat in small, cautious bites. Daniel noticed the way his fingers gripped the spoon, thin, almost fragile. Emma knelt beside him. "What's your name, sweetheart?" "Illy," he murmured. "Illy." Daniel repeated with a warm smile. "How long have you been outside?" Illy shrugged. "Since yesterday, I think, my mom. She told me to stay in my room, but then she didn't come back. I got hungry, so I left." His eyes filled with tears and his voice cracked. "I didn't know where to go." Daniel's stomach twisted. He thought of Noah. What if it had been his son out there, alone in the freezing air? His promotion suddenly felt insignificant in comparison to the life sitting in front of him. "We'll call someone in the morning who can help," Daniel said gently, "but tonight you're safe here." Emma reached for Daniel's hand under the table. "We can set up the guest room," she said quietly. Later that night, Daniel stood in the doorway of Noah's bedroom. The room was dim, lit only by the small nightlight shaped like a rocket. Noah and Illy lay side by side under the covers, their heads resting on the same pillow. Illy's small hand clutched the edge of the blanket as though afraid it might be taken from him. Daniel stepped closer, pulling the blanket up over their shoulders. As he tucked them in, Illy's eyes fluttered open. "Thank you," Illy whispered, his voice hoarse, "for not leaving me outside." Daniel felt his throat tighten. You don't have to thank me, buddy. Everyone deserves to be safe. Elise smiled faintly before drifting back to sleep. Daniel stayed there for a moment, watching the steady rise and fall of their breathing. The pastries still sat in their bag on the kitchen counter, untouched. His big announcement about the promotion could wait until tomorrow. Because tonight, something far more important had happened. A little boy who had been alone in the cold was now warm, safe, and cared for. And for Daniel, that was the greatest gift he could have ever received. Sometimes the most meaningful days aren't the ones we plan. Sometimes they're the ones when life interrupts our joy and gives us the chance to bring joy to someone else. That night, Daniel realized that true happiness doesn't come from promotions, pay raises, or personal victories. It comes from the moments when we open our hearts to others. He had left work with a smile because of his own success, but he went to bed with a fuller heart because he had helped change the course of a frightened child's life. The pastries would be eaten another day. The news of his promotion could wait, but the warmth of kindness shown to Uli would last forever. In a world where we often rush to celebrate ourselves, Daniel learned that the greatest celebrations happen when we make someone else feel safe, loved, and seen. Sometimes, the most shocking turns in life lead us straight to the most beautiful ones.